7 in the morning really breakfast time?
Okay, we are live. Hi everyone. Welcome to Eiffeling into French with Prisha. I'm your host, Shrieker. Prisha is a 13-year-old from the US who enjoys reading and singing in her free time. She has been learning French from 4th grade and really likes it. Today, she will teach us the basics of this intricate and fascinating language. Over to you now. Take it away, Prisha.
Oh my God. Okay. Guys, this is all I want you to do is get a notebook and write down, I'm going to go through this whole presentation and I just want you to write down a few things that you're comfortable with and you can use them as notes in the future when you're like trying to talk in the language. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So I won't go into presentation mode because I just want you guys to notice it from here. Okay. So the first topic that we're going to learn here is the French alphabet. Like any subject, the French language also has its own set of alphabets, and though the French alphabets are the same as the English alphabet, their pronunciation differs. And before we move on to the pronunciation, I want to talk about a little about the accents. Are like these signs that you're that you see on top of the e, that's like ago, and this is grave, and this is sedicil, the accent below the c, and the trema is the two dots on the top. And this is the okay, so usually, yeah.
I think, I don't know, on my end, I cut out a bit. Can you just repeat the last part of what you said?
Oh, I'm so sorry. So accents are the signs that you put on vowels that are usually vowels are under the C. It's slightly change the pronunciation than it usually is. Okay, there are 5 accents in the French alphabet. Mm-hmm. You might like want to write this down. So you can just like title the page accents and then write down these 3 accents, okay, which is ago, grave, sedicil, trema, and circoflexe. And accents aren't like the whole thing. They're just the signs on the top. So moving on to the alphabets, the vowels A, E, I, O, U, and H. H is also considered a vowel-like in French. It's also another interesting fact, like that H is usually silent when it's in words. For example, you're going to see examples later. These are the alphabets, and you can see it's the same order as in the English alphabets. And the only thing that's changed is the pronunciation, which is listed on the side of the alphabet. So A is pronounced A, B is pronounced Be, C is pronounced Say, and D is pronounced Day, E is pronounced and F and She, and A, E, She. Now notice that in between J and G, the pronunciation between them has changed. So G is being called She, which is really close to J, and G, J is being pronounced close to G because it's like she. So that's what you have to keep in mind, and the rest of them are really easy. They're like really close to their English pronunciation. Car, and then over here it's like the literal English pronunciation, LMNO. And over here it turns into pay, and then who are R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So this part is kind of new, but the rest of it is really close to their original, how you pronounce them. So that's just what you have to keep in mind for the English alphabets. The next thing that we're gonna do is move on to articles. Articles, like not like the whole paragraph thing. Articles are like the English language has the a, and the the. Those are the articles. So we're gonna study we're gonna be studying articles before we move on to numbers because I need to tell you a few important factors that will affect the number part when we're trying to create a sentence. So the normal articles in English are a, an, and the. But in French, we have approximately 4 type of articles, but we're only going to be focusing on indefinitive and definitive articles. So,
Prisha, I have a question.
yeah.
So what exactly is an article again?
Article, like, articles are in English are a, an, and the one they're usually used before when you're just, they usually have the same use that they have in English, but in French they have a huge type that they go into,
Oh, okay.
like, so a and an, you know how you use a girl, a man, and a woman if you're not defining them? When you're not defining, like it's not defined, you're just, you're just, pointing out someone different. You're not actually pointing out someone actually. So these articles are called indefinitive articles because you're not defining something with them. And the indefinite articles are a and an, but in French, they're replaced with un and yun. You might want to write it down because, so when you, so these are used to define a singular object and is replaced with un and yun. But this is because in French, subject changes based upon the gender and the amount of object. So subject is, so the object that we're talking about here is, if the object that we're talking about here is masculine and singular, we're going to be using un as our article before it if it's not, if the object that we're talking about is not being defined a lot. So if we're talking about a man, which is an over as listed over here, we're going to say un because is singular, and of course because it's a man, it's male. So how to define if it's like plural or not? It's usually plural when it has an s after it, like in English. So that's what you usually have to keep in mind. We're going to talk a lot more about it later. And yun is used when the object is feminine and singular, which is like in a woman. Women are, the literal translation of this is listed on the side. It's like femme means woman, and yun is being used over here because we're not defining the woman, and we're not, and the woman and the word woman is feminine and singular. The French also include another article used for the translation of some. Now, when you're saying some, you're not defining it. You're saying some milk, you're saying some water usually in English. You don't define, you don't say, you don't usually define when you say define an object by saying that there is some milk in that over there. So because you don't define it, we're going to be using the indefinite articles. This whole, these 3 articles, un, yun, and des, are indefinite articles, and they're used when the object is that's being described isn't that specific. So back to this is used, de is used when the object is plural and the gender does not matter here, because you don't when you use things in plural, you don't have to care about the gender and figuring it out. You just have to go for if it's like plural, you just go ahead and write this or the other article that I'm going to talk to you about.
So if we were saying some people, we would have to use they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They in the translation of people, and then you can use it in a sentence.
Okay.
So thank you for asking the question. Definite articles are also used when the object being referred to is specific. So this is the definite article part. This slide was about the indefinite article, and this is about the definite article. We also have partial articles and other type of articles, but we're only going to be focusing on these 2 articles because they're the major articles that we need to learn about. So the definite articles are used when the object being referred to is specific. For example, the Eiffel Tower. So for example, the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is called La Tour Eiffel in French because we're going to be and as you heard, la to refer, and the first article being used there is la, because to refer is feminine because it has an e in the end. So we can just go through this. All of the articles in this category are the translation of the. They're used where the would have been used if the sentence was in English. The 4 articles in this category are le, la, and le. Now you might not know what these are, but you can just write them down because we're going to be explaining what they are right now. Again, the articles used always depends on the amount, gender, specificness of the object. But there's also another area that matters in choosing the article when you're taking a definitive article, the first letter of the word. If the first letter of the word is vowel or an H and the object is specific, you don't have to worry about anything else. Just write L apostrophe in front of it. For example, the airplane, you can just write it because the translation of an airplane is avion, and the first letter is a vowel. You don't have to figure out about anything else, and you just have to write L apostrophe. Okay. For le, it's even simpler. If you see the object isn't vague and it's plural, and the object that are plural end in s, and that because that is what one adds to make an object plural unless it already ends in an s, x, or a, z. So these are for le and la. Let's talk about
sorry, another question.
It's all right, you can talk.
So for avion, the plane, is that a masculine or feminine thing?
Oh, when you're using le, when you're using L apostrophe and le, you don't have to figure out about the gender. It's just L-E and L-A that you have to figure about it. La and le.
So what if I wanted to say an airplane?
An airplane.
Like not specific.
Not specific. If it's not specific, you don't have to figure out anything in the definite article. You have to go back to the indefinite article, and then because avion is male, you're gonna be using over here. Okay. Because we're just referring to a normal plane. We have not specified it yet. So we're just going to be using the indefinite article instead of the definite article.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. So LE is used in front of the masculine singular noun if the object is masculine and it's singular and it's defined properly. For example, if you have like if you're pointing out a man from a crowd, you're gonna say l'homme. L'homme. That, oh my God, I'm using L apostrophe here because starts with an H. If you're pointing someone out, you're gonna say l'homme because you can't because the first letter of the word is an H and it's a vowel, so you don't have to figure out anything else, nor the fact that homme is a male masculine object. You have to just go with it and just write L apostrophe. Also, this is used in front of a masculine singular noun, and la is used in front of a feminine singular noun. Feminine singular nouns usually end in E because when an object is converted from masculine to feminine, E is usually added. We're going to talk about that later as well. I'm going to explain it deeply later. So I did put a few questions together to sum up this lesson. I would like all of you to coordinate and try to respond. I'm going to help you as much as I can. So before I start, I'm going to just explain what ce sont, c'est, and all the other things are. Ce sont is these are. Its literal translation is these are. So it's plural, what we're talking about, and that's what we already know. But we don't even have to care about the first word was being used. All we have to care about right now is the object. So when you're determining these, you only talk about the object. So over here it's chaises, which means chairs. And because it has an S in the end, it's plural. So, and because this isn't defined, it's singular. It's plural, it's masculine, and it's not defined. So would anyone like to guess before I actually state the answer?
Is it lay?
Really, really close, but it's not defined. So we're going to be using these articles.
Okay.
Dress.
Huh?
Yes.
Uh-huh. That is the answer. So, so when you're So moving on. Good job, Rahul. So moving on, we have the object over here is stilo, which means pens. But we're also specifying these pens by saying that they belong to Sophie because they means of and Sophie means is the name. So they belong to Sophie, and these are the objects that we're going to be using.
So is it lay this time?
Yeah, actually it is. Good job. Oh, God.
Wait, so the rule is that if they're not defined, as in
If they're
there's
not
no, like,
defined,
so
if they're not go ahead.
defined can mean both like given a number and given like a possessiveness.
If you say number, it's still not. Actually, we're it's sometimes on the fence about if you write the number or not. But over here you see that it's plural. Actually, even if you write the number, if the number is more than one, then you have to take it as a plural object. You have to take as if if the object is plural. So the object is plural here, and it's defined, and that's all you need to care about because
So
you
how
know
do
that
you
you're
know
going
if an object is defined or not defined?
Oh, that's easy. If it's like written like this, if it has nothing after it, like they Sophie, or it's not a monument or anything, it's something that you it's usually general. You know how in English you would be using an and for a thing? Remember
Yeah.
how you'd be using and an for an object? If the translation of the whole sentence other than the article makes you think that what the appropriate article to be placed in the blank is an or an and, then you should be using un, yun, and des. But if you think if you translate the sentence without the article and you think that the appropriate article that should be placed in the space below is the, you should be using the definitive articles la, la, le, and l apostrophe.
Okay, wait, what was the need for the they in the first sentence? It doesn't
Oh,
make
that's
sense.
because chairs, we're not defining them. We're not defining which.
Okay, I mean like, why do we need a or and there? Because you said saison means these are, so we don't say these are a chest, right?
Some.
I think that's also
Actually,
some.
that is kind of right. If you're pointing them out, if you're calling them out, like if you're calling them out, saying that there are some chairs over there, and then you point them out to the direction, then you will be placing la or blah because you're specifying them. But if you're not, if it's already there and you're just like not even calling them out, it's like just there and it's dedicated to that place. Like how you would say a man, a girl, how you wouldn't exactly point them out. You're not exactly pointing them out, but oh my god,
Okay.
complicated.
Okay, I have a question. So just to clarify, so when you have a description of an object, that's when it's defined, and when you don't have any description, it's not defined.
Unless you're pointing them out.
I don't know if you're pointing them out.
They usually tell you, but if
So I think like suppose you're in like you have a room full of stuff, you have to point out a particular pen. You'll have to say I want that pen or I want the pen. It's like that, right?
You say the pen, you don't say a pen, because if you say a pen, you're pointing out to any of the pens in the room, any of the pens in the world. But if you say the pen, you're pointing to that specific pen that you need. Okay. Thanks, Shreya. So when I'm moving on to the third one, this would be this is, and because it says because this has no s in the end, you can also use this as a hint, because if it's ce sont is a plural version of say. That's what I'm gonna be telling you. You can just write it as the plural version of say. So it can also help you if the object isn't telling you if the if the object being used is feminine or plural or singular. But over here it's already sure it's plural. It is singular because the Tour Eiffel is the Eiffel Tower, and there's only one of it. So the Tour Eiffel is feminine and it's singular. and it's actually defined because this is
Oh
the
wait,
only,
how is it feminine?
because actually the object is already defined about the feminine and masculine. You can actually, there's no appropriate way to figure it out. The
Oh,
usual
okay.
way of figuring it out is the E at the end, but that's not usually in every single word. You won't find it in every single word. That's
You
the way
just
the
have to
article
memorize.
is.
So this is
Yeah.
more of a memorization thing. Just to
There
memorize the vocab.
the only thing that you need to memorize are exceptions. For example, ends in an E, but it's not feminine, and other things that end in an E are not that are not feminine. You have to memorize them because then you get confused in the future. And there are also some things that don't have an E at the end, but even though they're feminine. So you even have to memorize that. You only have to memorize exception. The other things go by a rule, I think, most of them. So what do you think should be placed here?
La.
La tour, I feel.
Yeah, that is right. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so the
I'm
fourth
gonna
one,
go on a limb for the fourth one and say un.
yeah, that is
Yay.
right. Oh my god, that's right.
Oh, what does home mean?
O means a man, and
Ah.
because it's singular, and actually I gave both examples. The one if not if pointing it out of, because usually when it's written here and you're not pointing it out, you should always consider it as undefined, unless you have like a description of it. Like this Sophie, those are already pointed out.
That is
But
one
unless they're being
question that's
pointed
gonna stick with me.
Is the
sounds
fifth
just like
one?
homely.
Is the fifth one la? Is the fifth one la?
Je te dis, which la?
Le. Le.
Oh, now this is kind of tricky because when you got the part right that this is defined because on my code.
Yeah.
But
HOD
remember
means
L
study, right?
apostrophe? Huh? It
HOD
means study.
means study. Yeah.
Yep. Good job. Okay. So because this has the A in the at the beginning,
Yeah. So
vowel,
L and apostrophe.
yes, because this is usually because you can't say le anglais. It's really hard when you're trying to ask.
Okay.
So they just switch it to l'anglais to make it easier to pronounce, and you can just use it in a faster way.
What does ha mean?
What?
Ha or J-E?
Oh,
It
J-E.
means I like.
Yeah, really good job. It's
So I
amazing.
like to study English in my room.
No, this is the sixth one. So you can actually make that a sentence. But this sentence is I study the they say the English, but it's like English. You can just translate it to English. In my school. So I study English in my school. That's a literal translation.
School.
Yeah. There are a few vocabulary parts that you learn in this presentation, but you usually learn vocabulary when you keep on practicing and you keep on learning new lessons, and you go into the advanced, because this is like the basics. You have like a lot to learn after this. So the sixth one,
Is it la? La?
James Jouet, kind of an James Jouet. Actually, I would let it pass. I think it's correct. I think.
So
James-
badminton is masculine.
I think yeah.
Right?
Pretty sure about it. So
But it's
that
not defined.
it isn't defined actually. No, it's
Isn't
actually
it a
usually
name
defined.
of sport? Is it a name of? Isn't it a name of a
Yeah.
sport?
Mm-hmm. So you have to know if the word is masculine or feminine by originality, or because it doesn't have the e in the end, you're gonna name it le. So you can just go with this as because le is used for masculine and singular, and this seems masculine because it doesn't have an e in the end, and this is singular because it doesn't have an s in the end, and it's you won't exactly because you're talking about a specific sport. This is also defined, and that's why you'll be using the le. That was a good that was a nice job you did there. Okay, so that looks amazing. So the next topic that we're going to be talking about, okay, the next topic that we're going to be talking about is the French numbers. So this is the second topic that you might want to know a little about is the French numbers. Now, I'm not going to tell you both cardinal and ordinal numbers because, you know, when it goes into cardinal numbers, it gets kind of tricky, a little though, but cardinal numbers do follow a pattern.
Okay,
What
but
are
could you explain
cardinal
what
numbers?
cardinal and ordinal numbers are?
Yeah, what do they mean?
Oh, okay. Cardinal mean 1, 2, 3, and ordinal mean you know, ordinal have examples like first, second, and third. They're like
Oh, okay.
they're like the one that they're used to count placements. And so the ordinal, these are the cardinal numbers till 60. Let me just okay. So these are the numbers from 1 to 60, and so let me just tell you about it. Okay. So 1 is like always, you know, like you, it's not always. I mean, it is, but you know, in 1 you just use the articles, the two articles un and yun based on the object that you're using, because they're used when the object is singular. So we just name them as 1. And 2 is the. 3. You might want to write this down. I mean, all you need to know about is 1 to 20. And then you have all the rest of them till 60 follow the same pattern. So let me just talk to you about 1 to 20, and then we're going to discuss about the pattern. You can notice it right now. So 1 is un, 2 is the, 3 is trois, 4 is cat, and 5 is cinq, 6 is six, 7 is sept, 8 is wheat, 9 is snuff, and 10 is these. So till here, can anyone try to pronounce them?
Okay, I'll try. En,
Okay.
deux, trois, quatre, cinq,
Yeah.
six,
Yeah, really
sept,
close. Six.
huit, neuf, dix.
Really good job. That was amazing. So that is how you would pronounce their numbers from 1 to 10. These are going to be used when you're also you know, when you want to talk about like you're gonna see the use in the future. We have like a few conjugations to discuss about, like être and avoir. So that's when we're going to be making sentences and using the numbers, and they're going to be really important in the future. So if you have a notebook, you can write them down and all that. 11 is ons, 12 is douze, 13 is tres, 14 is quatorze, 15 is quinze, 16 is six, 17 is 17, 18 is 18, and 19 is 19, and 20 is 20. So guys, before I wouldn't want you to say the whole thing, but I just want you to say the first 5, and then someone else can say the other 5. So can you guys try? You guys want to try?
I can give it a go.
Yeah.
Ons, douze, tres, quatre. How do you say 14 and 15?
Quatorze and quinze.
Quatorze and quinze.
So about that was a really good job though. You did like the whole thing. It's like amazing. So okay. So this part, the only part that's left is 16, which is six, 17, 17, which is just you know, you just write these, 10 and 7, which is mixed together to make 17. And the same goes for these wheat. This is like foreshadowing the next plan, which you can see right here. You're gonna see that there's like sept over here and then wheat, all that. So in French, it's usually like 10, 7 to make 17. You just add them, except when you reach 80, which is like you're gonna learn later. So 18 is 18, 19 is 19, and 20 is all you need to learn for this part is this part. When you're learning the pattern, all you need to learn or you need to write down is this part, which you will need to know for the patterns to, like even make sense. Okay, so 16. So did I explain myself over here?
Yes. Just a quick
Okay.
pointer. I've noticed the numbers here are very similar to Spanish numbers.
Yeah, I know. French and Spanish are very, very similar.
Yeah, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. They're very similar, and they also follow the same like structure, in which past from 17 on, it takes the like the 10, the 20, or 30, and then it adds the 1, 2, or 3 to it in the name.
Yes, it does. So that is an amazing, relation that you've just discussed about there. French is very similar to Spanish when it comes to certain topics, and that's what you can like relate to when you're talking in Spanish and French. So when you go to 21 and 31 and 41, all you need to do here is use the previous 10 and then add 1 to it, which makes 21. So while you're writing it, you're just gonna when it's like 1, when it's like 21, you just have to join them by eth, which is and 20 and 1, 30 and 1, 40 and 1, and 50 and 1 instead of 51, 41, and all that. And then over here it goes into literal translation, like how you would say 22. You would say 22. You would like skip a beat there. So like that, over here you're gonna say 20, which is ve, and then 2, which is the. So that's why it makes sense, and that's why they write it like that. They like how we would write 22. We would go the same way, saying that it's 20 and then 2. So that's literal translation over here, 20 and then 2. So that's exactly what we're going to be using here. So if you want to write that down, you can just go ahead. It's like you can just write it up for every one following 20 to 50, 51, 21 to 51. And then over here it goes into 22, 23, 24, based on how you would say it in English. It's 20 and then 4. So oh god. So would anyone? So we do have questions. Yeah, we do.
I have a question. How do you pronounce vinct? This
Then.
is then. Okay.
Yeah, you pronounce it then. And 30 you pronounce it stront. 40 you pronounce it coront. And 50 you pronounce it as cinquante. And 60 you pronounce it as soixante. See how they have like an on at the end of it, or at the end of it. It's like these things are all about patterns. You have to notice them, and then you can just go ahead and apply them in most cases. I'm only teaching you till 60 because after 60 the pattern kind of goes wild, and it's still there, but it's like kind of changed. So all you need to know for beginners is the is 1 from 1 to 60. You can learn the next till 100 when you go into advanced levels and all that. You can also learn them from Duolingo. Okay, so the French number exercise. So guys, you want to try?
Are those bunnies?
Yes, there are 3 bunnies, and lapa means bunnies. So, and right now I'm asking, these are dash rabbits. So do you want to?
True.
Yes, that is true. Okay, ce sont 3 lapa, and this means these are 3 rabbits. Good job, guys. Okay, so in the second one, it's J means I. It usually means I have, but when you're talking about an age, they usually say I have that many years instead of saying that I am that many years old. So so would anyone like to, even take a fake age and then just say it right here? I am, and then you just say age. Would anyone like to, guess anything?
So if somebody was 1 year old, they'd say un, right?
Yes, they would. It would not make sense, but for them to talk at that age, but amazingly, they can say that. Okay, so this would mean I have 1 year. and which
I
exactly.
have a question.
Go ahead.
When you say I have 1 year, wouldn't it be an because it's only 1 year, so it's not plural, it's singular?
Yeah, it is actually. This is a singular version of. So you would say the way you would say one. That's where one comes in handy. So if the object that you're talking about is feminine, you're gonna be using un, like how you would use in the articles. But if it's singular, you're gonna be using un. But that's all of what matters is in the gender thing. The rest of the numbers don't matter upon gender because they're already plural. And remember, when you're talking about plural, the gender almost never matters, and you don't have to figure about the gender at all. You just leave the gender and then go on to seeing if it's plural or not.
Yeah, but why is year, like the word year, why is that plural when the description or when the description is singular?
Huh?
Shouldn't it be the same?
Oh, actually, that these aren't based upon the plural and the singular thing. Ans means years, so ane means years, but you say year old, so this is to describe year old. So you know how you won't say how you won't change it in English when you say I'm that many years old. So it's usually considered that you're not supposed to speak when you're one, so like normal humans, but so that's why over here it's like always plural. This thing is always plural, so you don't have to change anything.
So in this case, the word years is always plural, so that you don't have to change it. So even if
Yeah,
you say
you don't have to change it because when you start talking, it's always like I'm that many years old, and it's way more than one. So
nice.
that's usually how this thing honestly works. It's so if you're supposed to write if suppose you would write 55 years old, you would say 50. Cinquante, and because it's 55 literally, you're gonna say 55. Okay, so these things let me just test if you really understood it. So anyone like to go? I would try to help them. So
Okay, is it cinquante-six?
Yep, that's right. Amazing guess. That was actually right, and that was actually on point. So that was so would anyone good job. So would anyone like to try on 34? Let me just help you out. 34 is literally 30 and 4. You just need a translation to both these. Now now 30 because it means
So is it Trond? Trond and what was it? Cat or Trond cat?
That's amazingly right. That's right. Tron. True. That's amazing. And now when you go to 60, that's why I asked all you to write this down because this usually comes in everything. And these you might as well just these are like really just one word, so you might remember them, but these are like kind of really tricky, and especially their spellings. They're you need to like like really understand them to use them in words and all that. So like 60 over here, it's soixante. So when you write soixante, you usually have to know the spelling of it to actually make it right. So, okay, guys. So, would anyone like to tell me what's 43?
14.
Oh yeah, that's right. Quatorze. Good job, Shreya.
Yay, thanks.
So 28 is literally 28. So would you like to tell me what it is? So it's just, it's just.
So
it's
is it Wang Hui?
Yeah, that's right. Wow, you guys are really getting good at this. So sorry. So that's how you would write it, and that's how you would be using them in words. You don't have to change numbers. You don't have to change their you don't have to change their spellings to make them fit in the sentence. These are like the one of the things that always stay same, always, even if you're putting them in a sentence, and even if the object is feminine or singular or plural. So when you're saying 12, actually this won't work in singular. So if when you're saying 12, these are this one doesn't have a translation. So you know, a trick to knowing it. You just have to know from 1 to 20. Actually 1 to 16, because 17 is saying the whole trick thing. And you have to know the tens, like 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. And that's all you need to know for the numbers. The rest of it, you can always figure it out on your own. So the next one is 15.
Is it sign conte?
Uh-huh.
Is it sign conte?
Is it quince?
Cinquante, no. Cinquante is 50.
Oh.
So
Okay.
but you are really close, because instead of being of a pattern like these sync, it's not these sync, because you know the these part starts at 17. This has its own name. It's cans, and it's like over here. So if you want to write it down, I can give you a second or two. Do
Wait,
it.
so how do you pronounce it? Is it quince or quince?
No, it's cans. It's like
Oh,
cans.
okay.
They have like their own spellings. They're really original, and you might have to learn them. That's like major differences between French and Spanish. It's usually the spellings that are kind of different, but the pronunciation is where you have to like kind of change the accent and all. So because you're done with the exercise, we're going on to greetings. Now, greetings are supposed to be the easiest topic in French. So all you have to do is say thank you so much. You can just write them down. Oh, I'm only going to teach pronunciation for this, because this is like really actually there are some patterns in this. So thank you means merci, but if you write so much, you have to add a beaucoup in this. Beaucoup means so much. You can add them as adverbs into words. Welcome is bienvenue. Good morning is bonjour. Good means bon, but when you say morning, it's usually more. Actually, jour means a day, but when you mean morning, you're talking about the whole day. You can say bonjour, and good afternoon you can say bon après-midi. Bon meaning good, après-midi means meaning afternoon. Actually, après means after, and midi means noon. So this is like literally like the same thing. You just have to like break them down and then figure out everything. And then good evening is bonsoir. Good night is bonne nuit. Nuit meaning night, bon meaning good. Salut is the informal way of saying hello. So when you meet someone who you know, you can call them salut instead of bonjour, because bonjour is usually like formal and all. And you always get to like say, you know, you usually say hello between friends. So that's what you would be saying. So see you tomorrow is à demain, and see you soon is à bientôt. This is like literally you have to memorize them, and then you know just learn how to pronounce them and then say it. And when you learn these, they get like really easy. So the next topic is pronouns. Okay, so pronouns are like the English pronouns I, you, she, he, they, and we. Those are the pronouns in French, in English, but you need to memorize these pronouns. Like you memorized in English, you memorized I, you, she, he, they, and we. You have to memorize the French pronouns as well. So the first pronoun is je, which means I. So you can use either je or J apostrophe in a sentence, which would be in case you're if in case the pronoun starts with a vowel. You can also use tu, which means you, el, which means she, il, which means he, on, which means one, vous, which means which is plural of you, or which is you formal, which when you which you say to someone when you don't know them, or when it's supposed to be formal between you or someone else. Or nous means we. It's a plural for I. And ils means they, it's masculine. If you have like a bunch of crowd, which even has one male in it, you're gonna call it ils. But if it's like completely female, you're gonna call it els. No,
So
even if,
Prisha,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I think we have a request from Niranjan to do a quiz at the end on the pronouns, or at least or at the end of the session something. Do you think we can do that too?
Yeah, sure. You could ask for something and all the things else. We also have introduction, which combines all of them, so anyone can introduce themselves to us. And because this is all about making small talk and greeting everyone else. Also, so when I was back at like, if there's a group of girls with even a single boy or more in the group, it's not going to be referred to els anymore. It's going to become ils, even if there were more girls than boys. Even if there's a single boy in the group, it's going to become ils, because that's like a rule in French. So verbs, there are three major types of verbs, and their endings, they either end in er, ir, and re. Those are the three types of verbs. The two major words that will help you a lot while learning are être and avoir. So you just need to know how to conjugate them. Conjugating is like, how you say she, how you use is when the subject is she, and how you use am when the subject is I. They both mean the same thing, but you kind of change the verb form, the way that you use the word when the subject is different. So both expressions have the same verb in it. This is the same verb, but you have to change the form to fit the subject. Another example that's going to help you get what I'm trying to say better is the verb to play. Recall that when the pronoun before the verb is we, you write play, but when the pronoun in front of the verb is he, you write plays. So we usually write we play and then he plays. So we change the verb to fit the subject. This is a conjugation. So it's also in French, but it's like a huge pattern thing and all that stuff in French. The same phenomenon works in the French verbs. Some other words that might prove to be helpful are habiter, which means to live, and appeler, to call, which means to call. This is the word pronoun. This isn't like any of the three verbs classified here. This is a pronoun. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So appeler, is that to call like on the phone, or to like call out, like shout?
No, it's like I call myself Prisha Moria. So so instead of saying like my name is Prisha Moria, they say I call myself Prisha Moria. That's how you would literally that's how what is your name? The answer to what is your name would actually mean. But we're going to talk about that later as well.
I think Spanish works the same way in that.
I know, it's like really, really close to French, and that's what you can use when you're learning French. The only thing that's not going to help you is mix up, because that can happen a lot if you know both languages. It's really, really close. So être means to be, and this part is because re and ir are irregular verbs. I forgot to tell you that. IR and RE are irregular words, whereas ER verbs are regular because they follow a pattern. So you might have to write this down, but if you learn this through practice, you can just get it on your own. Also, the two main things, if you don't even remember anything else, should be je suis and tu es, because you usually use these two the most if you're beginning, if you're a beginner and you're starting out at this language. These are the two that you really need to know about to be. You say I am, which means je suis, and you are, which means tu es. So avoir means to have, and you as it's like j'ai, tu es, il, on est. You don't have to write the symbol. It's like all I wanted to write, I just wrote it in small space, but it's like la, which means la means she has, il means he has, and on means one has. And nous avons means we have, vous avez means you, or when you're referring to a formal person, have. Or il ont means they have, and elle ont means they have when it's feminine.
So is this the same verb we talking about our age?
Yes, this is the same verb. You figured out on the J, right?
Yeah.
This is the same verb, and it's like this is like really funny, but when the French say um, when the French ask about their ages, they say I have that many years. It's like you have them instead of I am that many years old. They usually change the have in the am. I know. So these are the extra verbs. These are the ER verbs. The only the pattern type thing is in bold. J'habite, you have to add the extra E. Let me just teach you one. The other one you can actually figure it out on your own because it's really easy. So habiter means to live in. Its radical is like the word. A radical of a verb is like without the er in the end, which means habite. And this is j'habite, to habite with the es at the end. Il and L have the E at the end, and do has the ONS at the end, woo has the EZ at the end, and il and L have the ENT at the end. You can write this down. This might really help you because ER verbs usually follow a pattern. They're like the only verbs that they're like regular and the only type that makes a rule was conjugating. So you can just write that down and actually, So vocabulary. I'll just let you guys, realize this. Monsieur means Mr. because, they use the first letter and the last letter over here. But since you can't use me as a initial, you have to use MME in French for Madame. Madame means like when you're referring to a woman, when it's formal, when you're referring to a woman, and you can't say femme, you have to say Madame. You can also, when you're referring to a girl, you can just say Mademoiselle. Femme means woman or wife. Homme means a man. Fille means a girl or a boy. Garçon means a boy. And you can just figure this thing out.
Wait, so Phil can be for either one? Girl. Oh, wait, sorry, girl and daughter, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually defined. More feel, they use like as adjective possessive. They use to describe if it's your daughter or a girl, but you're going to learn about that in the future. Also, we have like this many slides left. Okay, so adjectives are, what adjectives already do? They're the same use in English as they have in any other subject, in any other language. So given all of these adjectives are in masculine form, and you need to add an E to them to turn them into feminine. Unless the masculine form already ends in E, like riche, you don't have to add an extra E to it. Oh my God. Sorry about that. So riche, you don't have to add an E to it. Okay, because it's already a masculine form and it already ends in E. And in beau and belle, this one is feminine and this one is masculine because it doesn't have like, you can't add an E to beau to make it feminine because it's already, the E at the end is usually to determine the plural form. The U at the end is already terms that is kind of, like that. So the and will are old. So you can just list down the some of the adjectives that you'll write to keep to describe yourself then. They'll help you in the introduction at the end.
So I have another question. Mm-hmm. So the adjective doesn't change based on whether the object it is referring to is masculine or feminine, correct?
Adjectives are usually to describe yourself. Remember, so yeah, you are right. Yeah, you are right when you're talking about a noun. But if you say I am to describe yourself or something else, you have to choose a few verbs. Actually, you can just. Yeah, if you're a female, you have to add an E to this when you're describing it about yourself. But if you're a male, you have to just leave it as it is. Also, if you're talking about someone else, if you're describing someone else using the adjective, you're gonna have to know their gender too, and you have to change it according to their gender. Also, the feminine masculine thing also matters if you're using it in a sentence. So really nice.
Okay.
That out. So. After this, we're going to go on the introduction part, which is after this, how to use the adjective in a sentence. So remember when you talked about the verb être, I told you that it meant to be. Remember? This, the conjugation of this would really come in handy over here. So, it means to be. All you need to do to describe someone or yourself using the verb is to begin with the sentence with either je suis, 2A, or ille or la. So you would be describing yourself. So you would be saying I am when you're using the adjective to describe yourself. You're going to be using I am, and then you're going to be using the adjectives to describe yourself. And if you're talking about someone else, you're describing someone else. If you're describing the person right in front of you, like you're saying you are amazing or something like that. So you have to start the word with 2A, and then use the adjective to describe someone else. If you're describing another male, you're going to be using illa. And if you're describing another female, you have to be using la. And so on with the plurals. After you begin the sentence, you can add the adjectives as you would to describe the person, separating them with a comma and using an and to separate the last two adjectives like we do in English. Remember how we write, when you talk about your friends, you say, I'll just give you an example in adjectives. We'll just say, take this example. So when you say she is nice, strong, pretty, and intelligent, you always write the and at the end in between the last two. So this is like how you would do in English. So,
Prisha, I'm sorry. I don't know if it was just me, but I kind of lost you for a couple of seconds. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. So how to use an adjective in a sentence? After you know these conjugations, so you begin the sentence with these, just depending on who you're trying to describe, and then you add the adjectives to the end to describe the person, separating them with a comma and using the and to separate the last two adjectives as we do in English. So like how you would do, she is nice, strong, pretty, intelligent. So you have to add the and like you would do in English. Otherwise, the sentence is not complete. So LA is she is, like the huge translation. So if you're describing someone else and she's a female, so you would say she is, and then you say sympathique, which means nice. Forte means strong. Jolie means pretty, and intelligent means intelligent. Well, see how I added the E at the end. This is like really, really useful that you have to do when you're describing a female. And so the questions and answers that might help you in introduction, or you can just like look at them right now. Okay, so sorry that I opened by mistake. Comment table 2 is what is your name, like you already know, and je m'appelle is I call myself. Oh my god, I'm rushing this. Okay.
No, it's the I call myself part. That's so cool.
I know. So when you're asking someone about their name, you just say "Comment t'appelles-tu?" So can anyone try to say it? "Comment t'appelles-tu?" Because I really need you to know the pronunciation.
Comment t'appelles-tu?
Comment t'appelles-tu?
Really nice. That's how you would say it. Okay. Now because now they say it like really, really fast, which you will learn how to do when you're learning more and more. Okay. So when you're using the answer, when you're answering that question, you just say je m'appelle, and then you write your name in the box. So it's like I call myself my name. What's your name?
Je m'appelle Shreya.
Yeah, that's how you do that. Amazing. So the next one is kind of hard. It's comment ça va, but you can also write it as ça va, if you're like really informal, but if you're like between your friends and all that. So both of these expressions mean how are you or how's it going. So you would say comment ça va, and remember how it's like kava, it's like ça va because of the accent below. The accent changes the pronunciation. So would anyone like to pronounce the question here?
Comment ça va?
Really nice. That's how you would do it. So the answer over here is actually you have a lot of answers. Like you can either say it's going great, it's going bad, it's not going good, it's not going bad or good. You know how you have like tons of answers for this question in English. You similarly, if you want to say that it's going really good, you say ça va très bien, which means it's going really, really good. You might want to
très bien, right?
Ça va très bien.
Yeah, ça va très bien.
And if you want to say it's going good, you have to say ça va bien. And if you want to say ça va, if it's not going good or bad for you, you have to say ça va comme ci comme ça, which means it's not going bad, but it's not going good either. It's going okay. Okay, so the next one is ça va mal, which means it's going bad. So it's usually when you're not having a good day or you're sick or something. your day is really going bad. So you'd say ça va mal. Or if it's going really bad, you would say that's going to be amazingly unfortunate. But ça va très mal means it's going very, very bad. You can say when you're really, really sick and when you're really, really tired and all of that is happening, you have to say ça va très mal, which means it's going very, very bad. So these two questions are like usual. The introduction usually involves just this question. This is usually for small talks. This is not for introducing yourself. This is for introducing yourself. And this is for introducing yourself. This is for introducing yourself. And these are for introducing yourself. So, quel âge as-tu, which means how old are you? Would anyone like to pronounce that? That seems tricky. It's quel âge as-tu.
Quel âge as-tu?
Really nice. That's really amazing. So, the answer would be I have that many years. So, like we said, you have to fill in the gap with a plural amount of years that you, how old you are, however old you are. So you have to say I have that many years. So for example, I am that many years old, but let's take it as 14. So I would say 14 over here, because it's like I have 14 years. So this would be the exact translation over here. So this is what you will need. So can I hear someone else say the answer, because this will be really useful in your introduction, and I need to know that you know.
I 14 ans.
Okay, 14 ans. Really good. So but you might want to replace that with a random age or your age. When you're using it in an introduction. So the fourth one is où habites-tu? It's where do you live? Où habites-tu is where you would ask someone to ask where they live, which is in the name, but that's how you would say it. So the answer to that would be j'habite à, and you would say a place like any place.
USA.
Yeah, really nice. USA. You can also do Paris, Paris, but it's called Paris in Paris in French, and you just say it. So j'habite à USA. If you live in USA, you can say that. And for the does anyone want to try j'habite à USA or où habites-tu?
Okay. Où habites-tu? J'habite à USA.
Really good. That's actually how you would do that. Amazing. Good job. So the fifth one is como es-tu? It means what are you like? So remember how we talked about, the adjective and how you use them? This is where you need to use the adjective. So this is how you would describe yourself. So como es-tu? Would anyone like to try the question before I move on to the answer?
Como es-tu? Je suis.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the adjective part. So
Como es-tu? This is identical to Spanish, because it's como eres tú in Spanish. What do you like?
Yes, it's really close in Spanish, and I really figured that out this year. And it's really, really close, and I'm like, wow, actually the only thing that you need to worry about when you're learning from French and Spanish is the mix-up. Everything else is actually fine. So where's the adjective list? So choose, guys, can you choose two things that you would use to describe yourself? Any two? You can just call it out. Two that you're going to be using to call yourself out. So someone might be using jeune, because all of us are young here, and sympathique, which means nice. So you'd be saying jeune. Also, when you're using sympathique, you can also replace it with sympa, because you can't write the whole thing, and that's how you would use it in informal. So you can also write it as sympa. So when I'd be describing myself, I would be saying je suis sympa at jeune, which means I am nice and young. So would anyone like to replace them with two other adjectives before we move on to the introduction?
So sympathetic and intelligent.
At Holborn.
Really, really good. Amazing job, guys. So we're actually we'll just replace them. We're not replace them. That's going to give people hints. So guys, you have to do your introduction now. So all you need to do is you don't need to say the questions. All you need to do is say this line about yourself, and then you have to say this line and this line about yourself. And that's it.
So
And
how do you say 18 again? Or 7? Yeah.
F18 is like diesweet, remember?
Sweet. Okay.
For 17 it goes on to be really easy. You have to just do 8, 10, 8 instead of
Okay.
like
Okay.
Okay. Rahul, go first.
Okay. Jamapil Rahul.
Really good.
Je Trezor.
Really good. Amazing.
Jabit Ethiopia.
Really good. So the last sentence that you'd be saying would be this.
Which one? That one?
This one. The adjective one.
Je suis sympathique et which one was the other one?
Oh, you don't have to remember it.
Jen. Yeah.
Yeah, you can also use triste, forte, or sympathique, or grand, or content, which means happy. So you don't have to just stick with mine. Okay, really good job with the introduction, Rahul.
Thank you.
So can Shreya go now?
Okay, I can give it a shot. Okay, so Jamata Shreya. Jake Deceit Ans. And
Yeah, really good.
Je habite USA, and je suis sympathique et content.
Oh, good job. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So would anyone else like to try? Or
I think
I'll give it a
Shrieker's there.
shot.
go ahead, Shrieker.
Oh shoot.
It's okay. I'll give you the whole thing. So you say this part and then your name. Okay?
Jamapil Shrieker.
And then
Je Cadorce Ans.
yeah, you might want to replace that with Cans because you're 15 years old.
No, I'm 14 still.
Oh, you're 14. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna be 15, but
Yeah.
I beat the IUSA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beat the USA. Je suis riche et pauvre.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Good job, guys. So that's all the topic covered up. That's all the basics that you need. And to dive further deeper into French and to make small talk. So you guys did an amazing job. You were amazing people. That's all I want to say. And over to you, Shrieker.
Okay. Thank you, Prisha, for this wonderful program. I would also like to thank our participants and hope that they've learned something new from this session today. At the Early Birds Teens Club, we are focused on waking up early and changing our lifestyle so that we can be more connected to nature and to ourselves. We host multiple events that are streamed live to you via Facebook Live. You can explore our website, earlybirdsclub.org, or hop onto our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page at Early Birds Teens. If you have any questions, please shoot an email to teens@earlybirdsclub.org. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, guys.